Good afternoon, everybody. This is a meeting of the Capital Expenditures Committee, Tuesday, March 8th, 2022 at 1 p.m. In accordance with the provisions allowed by Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, the March 8th, 2022 public meeting of the Capital Expenditures Committee will be held remotely. To view the meeting in progress, please go to facebook.com/LakeCAM. You do not need a Facebook account to view the meeting. This meeting will be recorded and available to be viewed at a later date at www.lakecam.tv. The first item of agenda, I guess we should probably introduce the members of the committee. Myself, Selectman LaCamera, Darlene Donnelly, and Adam Lynch. First agenda item is to appoint a chairman, so I can stop reading. I'll defer to the group, however you want to do this.
I'll nominate Rich to chair.
Okay. Need a second.
Second.
Okay. All right. Okay, so Rich LaCamera's been nominated as chair. All those in favor, let's say aye, just read off so we have it for the record. So Darlene, you want to go first?
Yes. Aye.
Adam?
Adam Lynch, aye.
Ari Sky, aye. Rich?
LaCamera, aye. Yeah.
Okay. All right, congratulations, Rich.
Thank you. Thanks, Darlene.
Sorry, Rick.
Okay, so as you guys know, we kind of restarted this Capital Expenditure Committee last year and this year with Ari's direction and putting together the plan with the department heads. It's a lot more detail and we have a lot more information as to what we are going to propose and what we're going to approve and vote. So we have some department heads here, as you can see, the key department heads. We have Nate Dowling, building inspector. We have both chiefs here, and we have Todd Hassett, the town accountant, and then we have Frank Montes from the highway department. So the goal here is to try to go through this plan and discuss the plan, in general, and so everybody understands what we're trying to accomplish here. So do you want to present the plan, Ari? Does Todd want to? Or
I think Todd was going to.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Todd, are you able to share screen so you can put it up?
No.
Oh, you're not. All right,
No.
Let's do that. This will be a challenge for everybody. We need to make sure it's out there.
Sorry, I just activated it if he wants to try again.
Okay.
Okay.
I can run it if you like, Todd.
Can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, great. So as Rich said, we've got a lot of detail and a lot of planning and thought that's gone into this 5-year plan. We've had some initial input from both the Board of Selectmen, Select Board, excuse me, and the Finance Committee, and worked with all of the major departments to sort of refine this over the last couple of months before bringing it to you. So we're going to primarily focus on FY23, but certainly we'll take questions on any of the out years as well. I'll just point out a couple of things. These are segregated by requesting department. And on the far left, you may see for a couple of the items, some notations and which are footnoted at the back of the document. Essentially, We have two items that have a footnote one under the fire department and one under public works. These are two equipment, a vehicle and an equipment acquisition that we will be suggesting go to the special town meeting rather than the annual town meeting for the reason that we are going to use existing balances from old capital projects that have been completed that had unused balances. So no tax impact, no borrowing for these, no use of free cash or other source of funds. At the top, under the select board, you'll notice the first item listed has a reference number 2. This is an item that we're not prepared to bring to the May town meeting, annual or special. And we're contemplating this will still occur during FY23, but rather go before town meeting in the fall. Right now, as you know, with respect to the town office and fire station, we do have a feasibility study underway that was approved at last year's annual town meeting. And we expect the results of that in time to look at moving forward on this project or projects come the fall. But we're not in a position, the feasibility work will not be completed in time for our annual town meeting. We anticipate, these are just placeholders in the out years. We anticipate the project could be in the neighborhood of $12 million for construction and about $1.8 million for overall design. So what we might seek in the fall is approval for preliminary schematic design so that the project can continue to move forward. After which, if it's the town's pleasure, we would pursue for FY24 funding for both the design and construction. And this would, in all likelihood, include going to the voters with a ballot question for a debt exclusion, given the scope of this project in excess of $13 million. Also under the select board is a continuation of a multi-year technology improvement plan where we've got a variety of items that we're addressing over time to shore up the network and give us the proper security and equipment that we need to operate in the current environment. So that's just a continuation of an ongoing plan that's already in place this year. In facilities, you'll see in year 3 of the plan, we've targeted a roof replacement for the public library. As we get closer, that may move up a year or back a year or two. And again, that's a best estimate at this time of $250,000. It is our thinking that, and I should have said this at the beginning, we've color coded this document so that it relates to the type of funding. So where you see the color green, that would represent asking the town to authorize borrowing, which could be in the form of bonds or notes, or also leases, multi-year lease for equipment. The blue, which the library roof project is highlighted in, represents a use of some existing debt stabilization funds that the town has on hand. Anything that is not highlighted in a color is proposed to be funded from the town's certified free cash or surplus, if you will, that's certified annually by the Commonwealth. And then the orange highlights would represent use of overlay surplus, which is annually released by the Board of Assessors. We're not proposing to use any of that at this upcoming town meeting. And lastly, in yellow, you'll see under both the transfer station and the park enterprise, some of their projects highlighted in yellow, and this is a proposed use of their retained earnings which is in effect their certified free cash available surplus. Moving back up to the police department, this again is an ongoing plan. Most years we look to replace 2 or 3 cruisers. You'll notice in year 4 of the plan, the chief is looking to replace an unmarked vehicle. So that we do every so many years. It's not an annual expense. But this would be we'd be looking to replace 2 cruisers in next year's budget. And certainly if you have detailed questions, as Ari said, we've got, or Rich said, we've got the major department heads here to circle back with specific questions you may have. The fire department has proposed replacing one of the command vehicles, and that, as I mentioned, will bring to the special town meeting to be funded from unused projects. Largely, this is unused radio replacement for the fire department. And also, the chief is advocating for replacement of our used ladder truck, which he can get into details if you'd like about the need and the use of this piece of apparatus. The challenge with this one for us is we're not sure which town meeting to put it on yet based on input from this committee and the Board of Selectmen, but we understand that given the supply chain issues right now, once the town places an order for a piece of equipment like this, we're looking at close to a 24-month or 2-year lead time before taking delivery. So the chief has expressed the need for this now. If we place the order by July, we're looking at not receiving it until possibly July of 24. We do have the ability, you'll notice it's highlighted as a borrowing, it's 1.4 million. This would be funded through a lease purchase agreement in all likelihood, where we would have the ability to lock in today's interest rates, if you will, rather than wait 2 years when the interest rates might be considerably higher for that borrowing. The fire department also has a couple of other items of note. We do replace our ambulances every 3 or 4 years. So this is a continual, you see this repeatedly, and then we pay them off over 3 or 4 years and then authorize acquisition of another replacement. And the chief's also targeted an engine replacement for FY26. And again, as we get closer to 26, that may move up or down, much like the need for the library roof replacement. Public Works Department, a number of vehicles and pieces of equipment that you see listed. And the Public Works Director has done a real nice job of sort of laying it out to sort of spread the cost over the 5-year plan. Of particular note, I would highlight for you that we're proposing the 2nd year of a roadway improvement plan that is going to be, our hope is that there will be local contribution annually to be used in conjunction with state Chapter 90 road monies. And that will allow us to do more improvements to our roadways and stay ahead of because as you know, when they get to a certain condition, it becomes substantially more expensive to rehab a roadway. So we're introducing for the 2nd year funds, which are about $375 a year, and we've put a little more in the out years, you'll see, as costs increase. But again, our intent is to supplement this, use this along with state funds for roadway improvements in town. The other thing I just want to mention under Public Works is the last item in 23, you'll notice Dpw Facility Improvements. This is another project that has previously gone before the town meeting, as you may recall. we had about 235,000 previously appropriated. We've done some, had some design work done, and we anticipate the results of that work to be available within the next 2 weeks, at which time, before the board's, select board's March 21st meeting, we plan to refine this number and provide some detail on this change in scope and what the town would be looking to be purchasing through this additional funding to be added to the 235 previously appropriated. And I'm sure most of you or all of you are aware of the current condition of the facility, and I don't think there's much question that this is a high priority need for the community. With respect to the transfer station, which is an enterprise fund for solid waste and recycling, the Public Works Director is looking to do some improvements in the parking lot. This will be funded from the solid waste retained earnings for $25,000. And in year 4 of the plan, he's looking to purchase a roll-off truck for an estimated $200,000, which again, we would be setting aside funds over the years, planning for this replacement to be fully funded through the enterprise fund. The Cemetery Commission has noted to us that they've begun to look at completing the historic posts. These are granite posts at the Thompson Hill Cemetery. There are about approximately 54 that still need to be delivered and installed. And we have preliminary estimates for this project that are $45,000. This is not something we would bring before the town for another year. The Senior Center, the Council on Aging, has got to a point where they've asked us to look at considering an addition to the Senior Center. The Senior Center, as you know, the debt's fully paid off on this now. And we would be looking in year 1 to ask the town to support an appropriation for $40,000 to be funded from existing funds, donations that we have. And the intent would be to do some feasibility and analysis of what options we would have. The original Senior Center, existing facility, was designed to accommodate an addition. And in year 2, we would look to finalize those plans and bid and look to do any construction in year 3 of the plan. So those out years, again, are estimates at this point. But in year 1, the $40,000 would be used to really flesh out what the needs are and what programs would be supported through this addition to the current facility. The Park Enterprise Fund has submitted a number of modest improvements to various locations under their jurisdiction. Excuse me. Most of these projects may need further study in the out years and may have a higher ultimate price tag, if you will, when we go to move forward on them. But for the most part, these will be funded through the park's retained earnings. Of note, the first item listed is suggested demolition of the facility at John Pond Park. And that's estimated to be a $50,000 cost. So likely in an out year after that, the commission and the town will look to see what makes sense in terms of perhaps constructing another facility on that site. But the funds here, which would be use of free cash for $50,000, would be strictly to demo the building and secure the site. And Nate's on the call with us if anyone has specific questions regarding the condition of the facility or what the thinking is there. So we have, yes.
Should probably also note that the Park Commission had originally requested some funds for lighting at Ted Williams Camp.
Oh, thank you.
Which has been taken out because we reached arrangement with MG&E.
Thank you. Yeah, there were two other items on our initial pass of the capital plan to do with lighting improvements. And Franklin and Nate have worked with Middleborough G&E to get that work all done for the town. So no impact to us. Those two items were taken off the plan and are being taken care of currently. And at the bottom, you'll notice this is just sort of a quick summary, again, with the same color coding. So we'd be seeking town meeting approval for two borrowings. Actually, I apologize. One borrowing. This is going to be a $1.4 million for the ladder truck, and then the $300,000 for the town hall. We've got to look at. We'd be using $1.3 million of free cash, retained earnings, 25 from solid waste transfer station, and 25 from the park, and then the $135,000 represents the two items we'd bring to special town meeting in May for the air compressor for Public Works and the command vehicle for the fire department, as well as the initial design study in addition to the senior center. So the total of the plan is 3.2 million in FY23, some of which would be at the special and potentially the town hall piece will move to the fall town meeting, the 300,000 for that additional architectural work. And you see the out years, again, year 3 is where we are currently targeting to deal with construction around the fire station and town offices requirements that will come out of the study that's underway now. And again, the senior center, we're looking to do entirely no tax impact from other sources, donations and other sources as we move forward. We also, the other night, just so you know, we did go through with the board and the finance committee last night. We laid out the debt service requirements associated with anything highlighted in green here. And we are confident and comfortable, with the exception of the fire station town offices, that everything can be done within the town's levy limit and with these various sources of funds. Certainly the town hall fire station project will require voter approval like we did for the new police station in the form of a debt exclusion, which would happen in a year or two from now.
Todd, you want to mention the tentative proposed window project at Assawamsett too?
Oh, thank you, Rich. So I'm sorry. We also, you all may recall, a previous town meeting approved a feasibility study for the replacement of windows and doors at the elementary school. This is a project that was recently approved. We were approved by the Mass School Building Authority. So the state authority will be participating at a rate of about 53.5% of the cost of the project. And Lakeville will pick up the balance of the share, that approximately 46.5%. So the town meeting previously appropriated $90,000 for the initial feasibility work. The school building authority will be selecting a designer. We do not have much input at all on that. That will happen shortly. And we expect that initial design work will happen over the summer and put us in a position that perhaps in the fall of this year, town meeting will be asked to fund the final design and construction related costs for that project. So we don't have a final number yet, but we did want to note for you that that is likely on the radar for later in the fiscal year. And the town would be asked to appropriate the full amount of estimated cost of that project with the grant from the building authority coming off that. So if, for example, just round numbers, the project was $2 million, we would have town meeting approve the full town $2 million, but we'd ultimately only borrow or finance our share, a little under $1 million in that example, and the state would provide us $1 million plus in grant funds to offset a portion of the project costs. The school department does have a number of other capital items within their budget document, and they're trying to deal with as many of those through grants and other sources, and possibly their E&D, which is effectively their free cash. So we're working closely with school administration to sort of flush out future needs. And also, lastly, what was brought up at our select board meeting last night was a good point and question regarding the regional vocational technical school. And again, this is just informational at this point, but they have started on a process of looking at potentially replacing the Voc Tech High School, which would be a large, major, multi-million-dollar project that's several years out, but it's will begin in the planning stages over the next few years and will eventually impact all of the member communities and their contribution toward the debt assessment. So that's something we'll want to keep an eye on as well. But it's probably beyond this 5-year plan that you have in front of you today.
Okay. I just one thing I want to say about the town office fire station. The feasibility study, as most of us know, are looking at the existing facility at the town hall. And so no matter what happens and what the decision is or recommendation, is that the current town office fire station will be reused either for potential existing town hall, modify it, or a fire station. Initial review does not look like it can be all in the same building for a number of reasons, but we're not there yet. So that, as Ari pointed out, and Todd pointed out, we're going through that process, and that's going to take, I don't know, at least 4 or 5 more months is my guess, to get to that point, to at least get a feel for what we should be doing. I mean, they've already done the needs analysis, of the requirements for square footage and so forth and so on. They're quite familiar with the requirements for a fire station, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a major project, no matter which way we look at it. And but I just want everybody to be aware that the existing town office fire station will be used for some purpose, whatever that is. You want to say anything further on that, Ari?
So I just echo what you said. I think that's absolutely right. They're looking at we're looking at a number of different possible scenarios. They all involve reusing this building in some form and building something else. There's just not enough space in the current building to handle town administrative needs, or general staff needs, as well as fire station. And the fire station itself is configured is pretty insufficient to handle modern equipment, as well as the needs of an effective fire company. So there are a couple of different things we'll be looking at through this process, and the consultant is still in the information gathering phase. There have been no design concepts, no test fits, nothing like that yet, just basically surveys of different departments to get a sense of the needs and put the square footage together. But I think Rich is right, probably several months down the road. Hopefully by the fall, we'll at least be at a point where we can, bring some type of recommended alternative forward.
Okay. The only other thing I'd like to mention was having to do with the building at John Pond. I know the Park Commission was looking at trying to renovate, that facility, and they put in $100,000, to do that. One of the problems is it's in really bad shape. The second thing is that number that was being proposed did not include any handicap, accessibility. And for those who know that building, it's very difficult, to make that building handicap accessible. So Ari and Nate, and maybe it was Frank was involved, and Christina, they looked at the building and to see what we should and we shouldn't do. And they came to the conclusion that it would be better, to demolish the building and put monies in the future if we need to build some type of, building, whatever it happens to be. So that is the recommendation, from Ari and Nate, and that was discussed at the Board of Selectmen's meeting with the Finance Committee last night, as well. Okay, so like we said, we have the department heads here, and any questions?
I have a question on the ladder truck. That truck, it makes up about 44% of the capital plan and 82% of the borrowing. But with it taking 2 years to actually be made, is it a true FY23 cash layout, or is it something where you want to set up the financing for? How much has to be paid out right now, and what's the plan on paying it? I'm just wondering if it's a true FY23 payout.
Ari or Todd?
I'll take a first stab at it, Adam, and then Ari will supplement. So there would be no cash outlay on the part of the town for at least 2 years. But we'd authorize it at a town meeting, after which we'd place an order. And the financing that we're looking to consider would be locking in a multi-year lease agreement, so the rate gets locked in now rather than later. But the first lease payment would not be until FY 25 or 26, depending on the timing. And it would be at that point forward that we'd have any sort of cash outlay, if you will.
Is that the same time that you would start depreciating it? Not upon purchase, but on activation date?
Delivery, yeah.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
The risk, there are a couple of risk factors which affect the time one way or the other. There will be a price increase, at least one between now and the fall, and then probably another one in the fall. So if we go forward the borrowing in the fall, and Mike, you can, Chief O'Brien can weigh in if necessary. If you go forward with the borrowing in the fall, then 1.4 may not be enough. On the other hand, it does push it out a little bit and affect the debt service a little bit. So it's a judgment call, really. But we have had some preliminary conversations with a few financial groups, and yeah, it's the way that we could handle this in terms of either as a lease purchase, if the rates are good, or as a debt issue, would allow us to not incur the debt. We don't. In any case, we don't have to make the payment until delivery.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, just a follow-up comment on that, Ari and Todd. I think I may be right or wrong, Todd, but if we do a lease purchase, that has to be a separate article on town meeting and not included on normal capital items. So we might want to
Correct.
check that out.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Well, there's two options: separate article, or within the capital article, we can have two separate motions.
Right. Right.
But
Okay.
yes, because the authorizing debt requires, I believe, a 9/10 a vote of town meeting, whereas these other items before you would require simple majority approval.
Okay. All right. Other questions?
2/3, I'm sorry, not 9/10.
It's 2/3. Yeah.
It's 2/3. I apologize. Yep.
Other questions? Just a general comment on the highway office. This has been a challenge for all of us, you know, not getting into the details that happened in the past. But we know from a couple of things that we certainly, the decision that was made was to make sure that we did it right. And that, you know, we don't shortchange it, and that we do something that we're going to build that's going to last for the future. So this number is going to be higher than what we originally approved, but this number also includes stuff for drainage and parking lot and stuff like that, which was not included in the previous number as well. Now, I don't have to tell you the other problem that we are experiencing on everything is that the cost of materials has skyrocketed, number one. And number two, the cost of labor has skyrocketed. And we anticipate that this cost of labor, we think materials are going to stabilize, but haven't gone down yet. But, you know, we expect the increase in the labor costs and all this stuff associated with it. And we certainly can see what's going on around the world right now, you know, with oil prices and all those things associated with it. So we're hoping to get a better number on where we stand with this. Like I think Ari said on the 21st or somewhere in there.
Yeah.
This is a problem. There's no question that this is a problem. We you know, we dealt with it with COVID. We had to deal with it again under COVID. We had to deal with it 3 years ago when we didn't have the right information to make, you know, decisions and so forth and so on. So this is just reality. And
Rich,
yeah,
can I weigh in on this for a moment?
sure.
So just to, this is like, if we need to emphasize the town meeting, I'm certainly willing to as well. The current situation is totally untenable. The DPW staff was in a pair of modulars which had significant mold and rot problems. Those modules had to be torn down. They're in a trailer now, a temporary trailer, which is clearly not something you want to stick with for a long time. This proposal would fund in addition to the existing garage structure and would be a permanent solution. The one thing when I came here about a year ago, so looking at this issue, I wanted to make sure that whatever we did had some finality about it, some surety. So we hired an on-site an owner's project manager to manage the project and come forward with some concepts. Palmer Associates, somebody may be familiar with, and they have been really shepherding it through design. We have a schematic design at this point, which is about to go to the cost estimator anytime now, and we'll be able, and with that we should have a number that's solid and we can depend on. It may or may not be $500,000. Again, that's a placeholder. It won't be more. And you know, but what we'll be getting when we're done will be a really tenable long-term solution for public works that should last for some decades to come.
Okay. Anybody got any questions on that? Okay. The other wild card right now is I know Frank had already, you know, planned to do some roads, you know, this summer or early fall, whatever his decision is. The oil prices are off the wall. So, you know, the number that's there because of oil escalation that, you know, is in our contract is going to significantly impact what he can't do. So that's unfortunate, but that's just the reality right now. So we'll see what happens, but doesn't look good right now. All right, so anybody else got any other questions? I know some of you have already been through this before, so. All right, so what we need to do as a capital expenditure committee, and if we're not ready to do this yet, that's fine too. We need to vote and approve this plan. At least would like to approve the overall plan, but at least approve, fiscal 2023's capital plan. So if everybody is ready to do that, to approve this plan, that's great. If you're not, then we can wait, but would like to try to get it finalized by the 1st of April, at the latest. So does anybody have any opinion or concerns that we should not approve this plan? You guys are very talkative, All right, so if nobody has any concerns about it, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the 5-year capital plan that's been presented for fiscal 23 through fiscal 27.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Any discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
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 Aye. Well, thank you. There's been a lot of work that's gone into this plan, and, the most important thing is not only we're able to do a lot of these things, which is great, but at the same time is to get a firm handle on what the actual numbers are, because that really, the estimates, that didn't happen in the past. So we thank you for serving, and nobody else has any questions. Oops, nobody else has any questions. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
No
adjourn.
business or old business?
I'm sorry. Thank you, Ari. Has anybody got any new business, new items that they want to bring up? Having to do with the capital plan now or in the future? No? Anybody have any old business, which I doubt we will, but does anybody have any old business or any questions about something that we've done over the last year or so?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, I guess I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second,
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.